An officer with his belongings, 1862. Freed slaves were considered contraband or captured property at that time. Drinking school children learn worse than non-drinkers. Anti-alcohol poster from the USSR, 1950s. Protesters demand that President Truman take action against the execution of people, USA, 1946. 80-year-old Tom called the last cannibal of Fiji in 1905, photographed after cannibalism had officially ended on the islands. Hitler's reaction to the outbreak of WWI, 1914. Then unknown Adolf Hitler cheers with the crowd in Munich. Policeman measuring a swimsuit's length, USA, 1964. During the Inquisition, women who weighed more than 110 pounds were not judged for consorting with the devil. It was believed that 110 pounds was the maximum weight a broom could carry. Times when sheep were used as natural lawnmowers in London parks, 1926. Protest against racial integration in schools, USA, 1959. The sign reads, "Race mixing is communism." The last known photograph of a Barbary lion before its supposed extinction, taken in the Atlas Mountains in North Africa in 1925. Twin Towers, New York, 1979. A bra model, fashionable in the 40s and 50s. High society girls dressed in the latest fashion, Paris, 1910s. Listening booths for vinyl records, 1950s. Many music stores offered a special booth where customers could listen to records before buying. If caught by the police for jaywalking in South Korea, you had to stand in the shame box for 30 minutes, 1970s. The Japanese during World War II displayed unprecedented cruelty, killing more Chinese people than the Nazis killed Jews. Tens of thousands of Chinese women were raped, many of them were killed. Classes in a destroyed school, Angola, 1997. The most offensive will. Australian Francis Lord bequeathed his fortune to friends, charities, and servants, mentioning his wife last. He left her 1 shilling so she could buy a tram ticket, go somewhere, and drown herself. I knew girls started lip tattoos around age 7, enduring years of cut-and-soot ink with no anesthesia. It was painful, repetitive, expected before marriage. Japan banned it by 1871, nearly erasing the right. The fearless Bobby Leach performed a large number of life-threatening stunts. For example, in 1911, he crossed Niagara Falls by tumbling over it in a barrel. Leach died in 1926 after slipping on an orange peel. British magician Kuda Bux demonstrates his ability to see with his eyes closed. England, 1937. A German soldier mocking a Jew, 1941. A penguin concert during Shackleton's expedition, Ross Ice Shelf, Antarctica, summer 1908. The paradox was that the penguins only reacted to classical music. 1900s jazz did not interest them. The birds reacted most keenly to the violin. A timeless problem, the fight against excess weight. For example, Portuguese monks in the 12th century fought this issue by making a special opening in their monastery's dining hall so that overweight monks had to fast. President Joe Biden in his youth, 1960s. In 1938, London post offices allowed mailing ducks, rabbits, etc., ended when blood-stained packages started arriving. Owners of Turkish taverns hired porters to carry overly drunk regular customers home, 1960s, Istanbul. Lieutenant William Spreckley of the British Armed Forces is hospitalized in January 1917 with a shrapnel head wound and leaves Sir Harold Gillis's clinic in October 1920 with a significantly corrected appearance. Red Light District, Amsterdam, 1968. In 1939, the British police deported Jews who had left Czechoslovakia after its occupation by Nazi Germany. Jews were denied residence in the UK due to incorrect documentation. This photograph, which you see on your screen, later became known as deportation to death. Improvised cavalry parade in memory of horses killed in WWI, USA, 1917. Japanese machine gunners in training, 1945. The entire population of the Land of the Rising Sun was being prepared to repel an American invasion of the Japanese islands. A White Girl and a Slave Girl, 1880, Brazilian Empire. Native Americans tear down the statue of Christopher Columbus, Mexico, 1994. A Fine Receipt for Believing in God, USSR, 1974. The arrest of Martin Luther King for suing for service in a white-only restaurant, 1964. In 1991, the famous Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar reached an agreement with the government. Instead of being extradited to the U.S., he was to serve 5 years in prison. But ordinary prison didn't satisfy him. Escobar built himself a prison of dreams with a soccer field, a large dollhouse, a bar, a jacuzzi, and even a waterfall. A World War II veteran earns a living, Tokyo, Japan, 1951. Russian Imperial Army soldiers in gas masks, WWI. Wedding rings found by American soldiers, Germany, Buchenwald, 1945. Before aerial photography was invented, photography was done by all possible means, 1952. A Ukrainian immigrant establishment in New York offering free borscht to celebrate Stalin's death, March 6, 1953. Until the 1960s, Australian Aboriginals were considered animals. Australia, 1960s. A German soldier gives bread to a Russian orphan boy, 1942. This blonde, blue-eyed child was spared, but tragically, another boy nearby, dark-haired and swarthy, was treated with brutal cruelty by the very same soldiers. How Alaska's Muir Glacier changed from 1882 to 2015. Wounded British soldiers with trophy German helmets, France, 1916. A seller of intimate wigs, New York, 1860. Prostitutes would remove hair from intimate areas to avoid pubic lice. Accessories like these helped them hide venereal diseases from clients. The first pubic wigs appeared for sale in the 1450s. A shell carrier, Nigerian Civil War, 1968. Blacksmith Patrick O'Neill without one arm and his special working prosthesis, England, 1929. Older generations often speak out about the morals and conduct of young people, yet those same older generations had their own periods of rebellion and defiance of traditional norms. In the photo, Gorbals Pub, Scotland, 1968. A German soldier returns home and discovers that his house and family are no longer there. Frankfurt, 1946. A heart-wrenching photo of two pilgrims walking along the Soroki River towards the famous Sarov Monastery. A man without legs is pulling along a blind companion with a rope. Russian Empire, 1903. The eruption of Kluchevskaya Sopka, taken from space, Russia, 1994. An unemployed man sells ad space on his bald head for a sports magazine, Budapest, Hungary, 1939. Beach in New Jersey, USA, 1910. The Battle for Life. In the photo, an American punches a Vietnamese in the face in a struggle for a spot on the last helicopter leaving the U.S. Embassy during the evacuation in Saigon, Vietnam, 1975. An Iraqi man celebrates on top of a burning American Army Hummer in northern Baghdad, Iraq, 2004. Early stage of a beauty contest evaluating contestants' figures, USA, late 1940s. An owlet dressed in a sea lion skin, Alaska, 1900. This photo is a unique piece of history. It shows Geert Adriaens Boomgaard, the last living man who fought for French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte. Geert was born in 1788 and died in 1899 at the age of 110. Even after his death, Josef Mengele, known for his cruel experiments on Auschwitz prisoners, continued to participate in science. His skull was used for educational purposes for forensic students. A Native American tribe leader visits his son, a tank crew member in the U.S., 1954. A medal for drunkenness in the form of a collar with a cast iron medal, late 18th century. Christmas packages destined for soldiers who have been killed or are missing in action await return to sender stamps in New York, 1944. A U.S. Embassy employee hits a South Vietnamese man trying to board the last helicopter during the evacuation of Saigon, 1975. Secret societies in Latin America, 1920. View of the epicenter of a nuclear explosion 2 seconds after the blast. Kazakhstan, 1949. Cigarettes purchased from a hospital bed in the 1950s. The shortest war in history, the Anglo-Zanzibar War, took place on August 27, 1896, between Great Britain and Zanzibar. It lasted only 38 minutes. Pictured, the Sultan's palace after the shelling. In the 1960s, a popular hippie slogan was, "Bombing for peace is like having sex for virginity." It was used by young people protesting the U.S. war in Vietnam. The audience at a session of hypnotist Anatoly Kashpirovsky for obesity treatment, Russia, 1989. The last photo of the passengers of the Uruguayan Air Force plane that crashed in the Andes on October 13, 1972. Of the 45 people, 27 survived. They had to feed on the bodies of the deceased. After 72 days, rescuers found 16 survivors. Lion tamer and trainer Jack Bonavita, with wild cats, died in 1917 after a polar bear attack. Photo caption, my mother in the early 1930s. She would be 100 years old today. In 2002 in Mecca, 15 girls died in a school fire. The religious police prevented firefighters from saving students because they were without traditional dress, niqab and abaya, which led to the high number of casualties. On April 30, 1956, 78-year-old U.S. Vice President Alben Barkley died in the Senate immediately after saying, "I would rather be a servant in the house of the Lord than sit among the mighty." In 1921, designer Valerian Abakovsky tested the Aerowagon, a train with an aircraft engine. On the return trip, it derailed and crashed, taking the inventor's life. Henry Ford with the first car of his own production, 1896. Prisoners' shoes left at the site of the Butugichag camp in Kolyma, Russia, 1989. A Christmas party in Badagry, Nigeria. Horses used as barricades during the Spanish Civil War, Barcelona, 1936. In the 1960s, Boeing nearly went bankrupt before realizing it needed to carry more passengers on smaller planes. A postman finds a house based on the address on the envelope, but the house is no longer there. Dar Robinson jumps from a 7-story building to demonstrate a new rescue device, an inflatable bag designed to save people from fires, 1974. The DeLorean DMC-12 and the filming crew of the movie Back to the Future, USA, 1985. The 1,000-Yard Stare. USMC Private Theodore J. Miller is helped aboard a ship after intense combat on Eniwetok Atoll. Miller was KIA a month later, 1944. Winner of Britain's Most Feared Woman Award, 1883. Auschwitz concentration camp after liberation, 1945. A group shaving device. The machine could simultaneously shave 12 people, 1903. The last public appearance of Chinese leader Mao Zedong, 1976. May Capone, wife of the famous gangster Al Capone, wraps herself in furs trying to hide from press cameras while visiting her husband at Alcatraz prison, 1929. Nikola Tesla peers out of his laboratory in Colorado Springs, 1899. Civilians sleep in the subway during another German bombing raid, London, 1940. The world map used by Christopher Columbus in 1492. The man behind the blocks, Alexei Pajitnov, the inventor of the legendary game Tetris. Poor Renaissance girls. Over time, it became fashionable to have absolutely no eyelashes. They were meticulously plucked, and it was closely monitored to ensure there were no hairs left on the eyelids. Meet Felicette, the only cat in history to survive a trip to space. Paris, 1963. Yugoslavian flight attendant Vesna Vulovic in 1972, she fell from a plane blown up by terrorists at an altitude of 10,116 meters, 33,330 ft, landed in the snow and survived. Initiation of a newcomer to work at a whites-only restaurant. USA, 1960. A Muslim family eating oak leaves during a famine, Russian Empire, 1921. Sparked a reaction. Whether good or bad, I'd love to read your comments below. Get ready for the next installment very soon. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss out. Catch you later.